What if AI stopped being just a chatbot and started feeling like a system that could actually think inside environments? That's what caught my attention here, because right from the start, this isn't just text on a screen. We're looking at an AI setup moving through structured tasks, visual systems, and environments where decisions actually matter. And that's important because once AI has to operate inside a world instead of just answering a question, the difference between hype and real capability shows up fast. Now, this is where it starts getting even more interesting. You've got the visual side on one end and then the prompt layer on the other, which is basically the bridge between human intent and machine execution. Anyone can type into an AI tool, but getting useful output from it, that comes down to how well the model understands context, follows instructions, and adapts when the task gets more complex. That's the real test. Here's where things get serious. This kind of tactical environment is a much better test than people realize because it forces structure, positioning, logic, and consequence. A weak model can talk about strategy. A better model can actually help reason through it. And that's the shift I keep watching for. Not whether the AI sounds smart, but whether it can stay aligned with a problem and move step by step through it without breaking. Then we jump into something completely different. Now we're looking at simulation-style interaction, which matters because it pushes AI closer to real-world applications. Things like navigation, control, response handling, and scenario-based execution. This is where AI starts becoming more than a writing tool. It starts becoming something you can build with, something you can test, something you can integrate into larger systems, and that's where things get exciting. Now this right here is one of the most important parts of the whole video, because once you put models side by side, the marketing disappears and the performance starts to speak for itself. This is where you stop asking which one sounds the best and start asking which one actually performs better under pressure. That's a completely different conversation, because when you compare models directly across the same type of task, you get a much clearer picture of what's usable and what's just polished packaging. And this is exactly why I built my school community, AI Money Forge, because what you're seeing in this video is the exciting part. The demos, the outputs, the possibilities. But the real opportunity is learning how to turn these tools into workflows, systems, content, and actual leverage. Inside AI Money Forge, I go deeper into the tools, the automations, the strategies, and the practical side of how to actually use AI to build faster. So if you're watching this and thinking, how do I actually use this stuff? That's where everything connects. Now we're back into deeper prompt handling, and this part matters more than most people think, because once a model has to handle longer chains of thought, more constraints, and more layered instructions, the weak spots start to show. Some models lose focus, some start repeating themselves, some give you an answer that looks polished but falls apart when you actually read it closely. And that's why I pay attention to sections like this. This is where reliability starts to matter. Here we're looking at a more direct prompt and response setup, and this is really the foundation of everything. Because no matter how advanced the model looks, it still comes down to one core question. Can it take an instruction and turn it into a useful result? That's the game. If it can do that consistently across logic, creative work, technical tasks, and structured requests, then it stops being a novelty and starts becoming a serious tool. And this is where instruction following becomes a huge deal. The longer the task goes, the more chances there are for the model to drift, forget the goal, or break the rules it was given earlier. So when I see it handling these longer structured outputs, I'm not just looking at the words, I'm looking at whether it keeps the thread alive, whether it stays coherent, whether it remains useful from beginning to end, because that's what makes a model practical in real work. Now we move into one of the most important categories of all, code. This is where a lot of AI models get exposed quickly, because generating code that looks technical is easy. Generating code that is actually useful, structured properly, and leads to a working result, that's a different level entirely. And for anyone building tools, products, automations, or interactive content, this is where AI becomes a force multiplier. And this is exactly why this part stands out. We're not just seeing code on a dark screen, we're seeing output, a visual result, something real. And that matters because it proves the model isn't only producing theory, it's helping move toward implementation. That's where AI gets powerful, when it helps close the gap between idea and execution. Because the faster you can move from concept to working prototype, the faster you can build, test, and improve. This section is another strong signal. Once the requests become more technical and more production-oriented, the standard gets much higher. Now you're not asking for something fun or interesting, you're asking for something that could actually become part of a real build. And when AI starts performing well in those kinds of tasks, that's when people need to start paying attention. Because this is no longer just content generation. This is development support. This is implementation support. This is speed. This is why I keep saying the biggest advantage with AI right now is leverage, not just information, leverage. If a model can help you think, write, test, structure, prototype, and debug faster, then one person suddenly becomes a lot more capable. And that's the part most people still underestimate. They're looking at AI as a gimmick. Meanwhile, the people who are serious are already using it to build faster than ever. So here's my real takeaway. What makes this interesting is not that it looks futuristic, it's that it's moving closer to being genuinely useful across multiple types of tasks. That means reasoning, that means interaction, that means coding, that means structured execution, that means outputs you can actually build with. And that is exactly why I'm so focused on this space right now, because the people who learn how to use AI properly, not casually, not randomly, but strategically, are going to have a massive advantage. If you want more videos like this, subscribe. And if you want the deeper workflows, tools, prompts, systems, and real AI strategies behind what I'm showing here, join my school community. AI Money Forge. That's where I go beyond the videos and break down how to actually use AI to build faster, create better, and stay ahead.